Hey, yo, lesson here, babe. You come at the king, you best not miss.
It would seem like my last video has caused a bit of an uproar, and I did promise quite late, to be quite frank, that I would come out with a response video. Well, here is said response video, and I think you're gonna find this quite interesting. So first, why don't we start out with an interesting TAC view that I think all must see in order to determine whether you need to skip that much to be able to desync missiles. Let's take a look. Hmm. Very, very interesting indeed. Okay, he's doing some rolls. All right. Got some rolls in the chat. Okay. There that goes. Okay, that's not going to be notched, right? Because it's right behind him. It can't be really notched because it's behind him. Oh! And he continued to roll until it missed. And then, oh, he stopped rolling. Oh, and then he dies. Oh. Very interesting. Let's take a look at that guy. Okay, so he's rolling. Okay, the missile misses. All right. Wonderful. So I hear you say in the comments, oh, but that's not JP. I mean, that may be somebody in a squadron who's assumedly taught the same tactics and is in a competitive scrimmage against another team doing what is effectively the exact same thing. But that's not JP. I understand that, but what if I showed you JP? Yeah, what if I just showed him to you right now? Let's take a look. What if this was right after the sortie in which he fought me? Just take a look. Let's look at this. Okay, so we got some rolls here. The missile looks dead though. It's out of energy. Oh, he's okay. Oh, we got some desyncing. Oh wow, we got some stuttering. Oh boy, look at that. You know, in this instance, the missile was dead, but I really struggle to believe if a missile would have tracked that insanely large skip there, even if it was at Mach 3. I just want to show you what that looks like, by the way. I think there's some quick clips that you'll find quite amusing. Let's take a look. Now, I'm going to redirect the focus of this entire rest of this video away from this really weird squadron and away from these really weird people and actually talk about the bug at issue that they abuse. Now, this is an AOA role, pretty blatant example, with some skipping, some repeated skipping, but I want to make it very clear. This is not the extent that you have to go to effectively dodge missiles 100% of the time. Now, me and a friend decided to get on our private server and replicate the bug to try to find exactly just how easy it was to do it, and here are the results. So, before I kind of segue the video a bit, I just wanted to give people a taste on what this type of desync looks like and what you're in store for. I would also like to throw in two statements, one from a member of the DCS competitive community, and one from the team captain of one of the most, or actually the most recently successful team in DCS competitive. That would be Athena and Wombat respectively, showing their disapproval of AOA roles generally, and the one employed in the circumstance in that video. Now, before I continue, I'm going to bring somebody that actually knows what they're talking about, and a lot more than me knows what they're talking about. His name is Cookie. Let him introduce himself and talk about this issue at large.
Hey guys, I'm Cookie. I have, over the past few years, ran multiple different servers, helped with multiple different servers in DCS. The better known ones being Tempest Cold War and Enigma's Cold War. Those are the two bigger projects I've been a part of. I've also ran a lesser known tournament called House of Tsar. If you've been in the comp community, you might have heard of it before. So I've been around the DCS multiplayer space a little bit, and I've seen all sorts of netcode things within DCS. So I'm decently aware of it, and these desync exploits, I guess you can call them. So what's important to keep in mind with DCS is there's going to be three different views on between everybody. So you have your shooter, you have your server, and you have your target. Now your target is gonna, if they do a sort of desync maneuver, is what we're gonna call it for this section, I guess. If they do a desync maneuver, on their screen and in their tag view, everything's gonna look fine and normal. You won't see anything weird or odd. However, from the server perspective and for every other client or and the shooter, you will notice that this person will um essentially desync themselves from the rest of the clients and the server. So that's why some people might think when they're doing these maneuvers in multiplayer, then they go back and look at their tag view, they don't see anything. That's why you don't see anything. That's why you don't notice yourself desyncing. Um, Over the course of the past few years, I've been sitting in Game Master, watching people defend missiles in multiplayer. Um, with higher server loads, people can do it unintentionally. With lighter server loads, it has to be more intentional in order to desync yourself. With a fullish server, I would say like like a 64 player server, you can do it like pretty unintentionally just by doing some basic hygiene maneuvers. Um, with like your smaller format servers, like your more like competitive side, like 4v4, 6v6, 8v8, you can do it still, um but it has to be intentional. You have to be trying to do it. The server has enough performance to actually keep up with some higher G maneuvers, so it has to be intentionally done. And you can intentionally do it and be subtle about it, because you only need to desync yourself for a very short period of time at the essentially the right time in order for these missiles to miss, and they will miss wildly too. um because we're talking about, if you can desync yourself for simply just a second with enough angular error, that missile is going to pull way, 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 way in the wrong direction, or it's just going to pull way off. And so that's enough angular error in a very short second to actually cause a missile to just completely miss. With practice, it's something that I've seen people be able to do, and yeah, I mean, it is just an exploit that exists, and unfortunately, we all have to deal with it. Uh, it would just be nice if people would not abuse it intentionally. I've seen people do it unintentionally, but there are definitely a fair few amount of people out there that intentionally do this consistently.
Now, as Cookie said, the bug is easier to do when a server is high population, but I do want to note that even the most extreme of G pulling and rolling in a single player server will not produce the same effect no matter what. Here are a couple of flights in a row of me trying to do that, me pulling 9 Gs exactly when I know the missile's about to hit, as I see it 2 miles away because labels are on. It's also an easier way for you guys to see the missile. Here it is. If the idea that this was intended by ED is true, then why is it only present in the multiplayer version of the game? I understand that Cookie said that it's quite a lot easier to replicate in environments where there's a lot going on in a server, but as I've already shown you, just me and my friend, the only two people being on a stable server, a dedicated server, mind you, were able to reproduce it quite easily, and he actually didn't even need to do that much desync to have his missiles dodged. I'm going to actually provide another few examples of him doing exactly that. So quite obviously this is an issue exclusively with desync in multiplayer servers, no matter how many people are on said server. It's a black and white binary issue between single and multiplayer. Again, I ask you, if ED did not mean for this to be a thing in the game, why is it only present in one form of the game, that being multiplayer? So, to everybody that claimed that the guy was just notching and that's why my missile missed, even though he was far outside the angle, let me show you some examples here of somebody coming exactly just hot to me. This is, by the way, a 2-man server. It's only me and him. He's not even rolling that much. He's not even pulling nearly any G. Look at this. Again, recorded in real time. Pay attention to the G counter there. 2. Only going up to 2. Now we're between 0 and 1. Maybe went up to 7 there. And just so you're aware, this is not a notch at all. Beef is coming not really hot to me, but he's maybe beaming me by just a little bit, but the angle just does not match for a notch at all. He's flying toward the missile. So one of the main criticisms from the last video being that he was in a notch and that's why my missile missed. Number one, I know what a notch looks like. I'm not an idiot. I've notched maybe, I don't even know, thousands of missiles. I know what the anglage looks like. Was maybe in it in the, at least the gate for maybe 2 seconds, but the idea that you must have a notch and that is a necessary component to perform a role like this, is just not true, and you are wrong if you continue to say that after the evidence you've just been presented. I also want to look at this comment by DS Player who claims that an AOA roll is only possible with the 3D model desyncing and TAC viewer in the game. As I've just shown you with, I would say, is quite convincing evidence, this is just not true. I also find it quite ironic that DS Player was somebody that discovered a bug in which you could have gained 4,000 extra pounds of fuel in the F-14 that didn't count toward the weight of the aircraft. He had discovered the bug months prior to a tournament in which he played, and he continued to use the bug for which he got his entire team and himself banned for. I just want to say that because I think it's rather funny. I'm going to throw up an example now of me dodging a radar-guided missile at 2 miles using the notch, which is, by the way, not an exploit and has never been found to be one. There are other ways to dodge missiles. In the specific example from my last video, if the specified pilot had just gone cold, he would have dodged that AMRAAM. What the roll allows you to do is it allows you to effectively just stay hot the entire time and lose nothing for being caught out in a worse position. He fired a heat-seeking missile at me last video, and I flared it away. I then sat on his face with my aircraft, because why would I give up an advantageous position? He, however, since his missile was evaded, needed to do something to maintain his advantageous position, and he decided to roll. Now, while that's okay, and again, I don't really want to focus on that, it's clear that this bug is quite wide-ranging, and that there needs to be a fix for it that either changes the way that the AMRAAM works in the game, changes, and by that I mean increase even more the proxy fuse on the missile, or some other fix that I'm sure ED can engineer. Now, that is all to say that there are quite a few problems in the missile code of DCS. There's obviously quite a lot we have to do, and I hope this video is going to bring some attention to it and allows for a more fair atmosphere when it comes to air-to-air combat, and also ensuring that bugs are exposed and fixes are developed in good time. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. It's been a pleasure for me to make, and especially a big thanks to all of those who have given me notes of support and have talked to me extensively about this issue. And I want to give a big shout out to Cookie from 64th for coming on and giving his testimony. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.